firm believer that any dessert that you love in cake form, I can make into pie form. This time I'm going to do it with German chocolate. So what I've done is I'm going to take 4 ounces of sweet German chocolate and 2 ounces of unsweetened chocolate. I'm going to melt it in the microwave, and then I'm going to let it cool, add the rest of my ingredients, and we're going to have filling for our German chocolate pie. So put the 6 ounces of chocolate into the microwave for a minute, and it should melt, but it's going to take a little bit more because they're being stubborn today. So we're going to put it in for another 45 seconds, and then we're going to stir it all together. So our chocolate spent another 45 seconds in the microwave. We're going to stir it up. Sometimes just the heat of the bowl will get the chocolate to melt enough for you to be able to use it. And then other times you might have to stick it back in the microwave for a little while longer. Looks like we might need about 10 more seconds. So we're going to put it back in the microwave for another 10 seconds. So we spent that extra 10 seconds, which gives it a total of 1 minute and 55 seconds, and we're finally getting all of the chocolate to melt. We just want to get it to be smooth, and those big chunks to finally melt. Now that we're completely smooth, we're going to add a can of sweetened condensed milk. And then we're going to let it cool. We want it to cool down just a little bit because if we add egg yolks, which is one of the other ingredients for the filling, the egg yolks are going to curdle, and that's not what we want. So we're going to mix that sweetened condensed milk with the chocolate and let it cool for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and add the egg yolks, the vanilla, and the pecans. So our chocolate and sweetened condensed mixture has had enough time to cool. So we are going to add 4 egg yolks and stir that in. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And we have a pie crust that has already been par baked, which means it's almost baked through, but not quite. And we're going to add this to it. Actually, we're not. We're going to first add the best part, according to my mother-in-law, which is a cup of chopped pecans. So we have arguments in our house all the time about nuts or no nuts. My brother-in-law and I, excuse me, are no nut people. We don't like nuts in our food. Give me my chocolate straight up. My husband likes nuts, but he really is not that picky. He will eat chocolate in any form that it comes as long as it is there. So we added a cup of chopped pecans, and now we are going to pour this into our pie shell. And then we're going to bake this for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. So make sure we get all of that yummy, good chocolate. And we'll be back in 20 minutes. So our German chocolate pie is out of the oven. We still have to do the topping, but in the meantime, I'm going to trim this crust. I left the crust on so that when it shrinks up as it cooks, we didn't lose crust. And I got to tell you, my children would gladly eat just pie crust all day long. It's easy to trim it off after it's baked. You just take a knife and go all the way around. Now we're going to let this cool for about an hour, and then we're going to come back and add our topping. which is going to be a coconut pecan topping, similar to the frosting on a German chocolate cake. So for the topping to our German chocolate pie, I have a 1/4 cup of butter that we're melting. We're going to add to that a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, and then a 1/2 cup of cream, heavy cream. We're going to let that boil. So we're going to need the sugar to dissolve and the butter to melt. And then we're going to temper it with our eggs. This should take 2 or 3 minutes for everything to get to the temperature we want it to. Okay, so now that it's boiling, we're going to go over to our egg yolks and we're going to temper them in, which means we're going to pour just a little bit in to our egg yolks, get them up to temperature, and then pour the whole mixture back in the saucepan. It'd probably be helpful if I had a smaller whisk at this point. So then we're going to pour it all back in here. And go back to our saucepan on heat, medium heat. And we are going to mix it until it thickens. Okay, so the sauce has thickened up. It took about almost 3 minutes. So we're going to remove it from heat and then go back to the table and add our coconut and vanilla. So our sauce is thick. We're going to add our cup of sweetened shredded coconut. Stir that all together. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to pour it right over the top of our German chocolate pie. That's all mixed in. Alright, here's the pie. So even while it's hot, you can spread it over the top. And then we have a 1/4 cup of pecans. If you like more pecans, add more. That we are going to just sprinkle over the top. And then we're going to put this pie in the refrigerator until we're ready to serve it.